Welcome to Point Blank. I'm Yvonne.
And I'm Celine.
You're watching Point Blank because if it matters to you, it matters to us. We deal with issues that everyday Singaporeans face. You guessed it, point blank.
And a hot issue fresh out of the oven, the economic outlook for Singapore this year.
Yep, the report from the Ministry of Trade and Industry, or MTI, was released just this morning, heralding a slowing rate of growth for our economy. And the government forecasts exports to fall this year for the first time since 2001.
Well, how well Singapore does directly affects the people in their everyday lives. A quick look. Today, MTI forecasts that non-oil domestic exports will fall 2 to 4% this year, which is much lower than the earlier estimate of 2 to 4% growth.
And in the second quarter, the economy shrank at an annualized rate of 6% after seasonal adjustment compared to the 15.7% the previous quarter. And that's its worst performance in 5 years.
Year on year, the economy grew 2.1% in the second quarter, lower than the 6.7% in the first quarter.
And our eyes are also on Singapore's exports, which are a good indicator about the health of the economy. Non-oil domestic exports, or NODEX, fell 5.5% in the second quarter of this year, said trade promotion agency International Enterprise Singapore, or IE Singapore. And this is due to lower electronics and non-electronic exports. That brings key exports down 2.4% in the first half of the year.
The good news is total trade rose in the second quarter by 17% to $243 billion, but it was largely driven by oil trade.
So, how are people taking the inflation news and what changes are they making to their life?
With today's economic forecast, the darker clouds ahead may affect them down to the nitty-gritty, especially consumer spending. Our roving reporter Shi Ting hits the streets and finds out.
Inflation has been a buzzword recently. Now, Singaporeans may have to get used to a new concept called the stagflation. Do you know what's the meaning of stagflation? Have you heard of this concept before? No?
Stagflation? No.
No? Do you want to try to guess what's the meaning of stagflation?
Stagnant inflation, I think so.
Again?
Stagflation.
No, I never heard of that.
Yeah, I heard Minister Lim Swee talk about it.
Okay, what is it?
Probably the inflation is here to stay and probably will be a sustained kind of inflation.
No, I don't. No.
You want to try to guess what's stagflation?
No, I don't want to guess because I'll make a fool of myself.
Where your income has to be rise, and then which results in I don't know. Yeah, something in that.
Okay, let's break up the words. Stagflation, stagnant,
yeah, stagnant
plus inflation.
Yeah.
So what do you think?
No change in your income or something.
And at the same time, inflation, right?
Yeah.
Do you know the difference between inflation and stagflation?
Yes.
What's the difference?
Stagflation is inflation and then no growth.
Living Room Business Times Associate Editor, Vikram Khanna. And also a manager from Global Recruitment and Human Resource Consultancy, Robert Waters, Mr. Pan Zai Xian. Hello, Vikram, and hello, Zai Xian. So good to have you here.
Yeah. All right. So, what is your take? What is stagflation all about, actually? What's this latest hoo-ha over stagflation? What exactly?
Stagflation is, as the gentleman who won the score said,
the winner.
Stagnant income and high inflation. Okay. So you normally have one or the other, but stagflation is when you have both coexisting together. So, well, as of now, Singapore has high inflation, but it does not have stagnant incomes. Singapore is still growing. Mm-hmm. And yes, I mean, the second quarter growth numbers are low, but I think you need to look behind the numbers and you might find that it is not as bad as it looks.
Okay, so what do all these figures represent then?
Well, the figures represent that, yes, the Singapore economy growth is slowing down.
Okay.
Now, that is largely, almost entirely, due to the manufacturing sector. The other sectors, such as construction, financial services, transport and communications, commerce, and so on, are actually doing okay. In fact, financial services and construction have double-digit growth. So it's only manufacturing that's really weak at this time. And that, too, it's mostly pharmaceuticals within manufacturing. Now, pharmaceuticals is a large part of manufacturing. It's about 20% of value added, so it makes a huge difference. If pharmaceuticals takes a hit, the whole manufacturing sector takes a hit. So what I'm trying to say is that the slowdown, it is a slowdown, but it's not broadly based. Most sectors are doing fine. Manufacturing has been hit, but within manufacturing, it's mostly pharmaceuticals.
Okay.
So if you look at it in those terms, we're not doing so badly. If pharmaceuticals turns around, manufacturing can turn around, we'll be back to higher growth.
Right.
In any case, we're still growing.
Okay.
Yes.
Right. So we're not exactly facing stagflation.
So we're
right
not
now.
facing stagflation. No.
Oh, okay. So what is this situation? How would you describe the current economic climate right now?
Well, it's basically just a slowdown.
Okay.
Partly it's because of the American and European economies slowing down, and that affects us. I mean, we're an open economy. We trade with them. They are big trade partners. So it's partly that, and partly, as I mentioned, is pharmaceuticals, which has its own reasons for slowing down. I mean, they have their own. They are facing competition from generic drugs. Their production schedules vary, so sometimes a drug does not get produced in a particular quarter.
Right.
So or sometimes they switch to lower value drugs.
Okay.
So that's unique to pharmaceuticals. So basically, yeah.
So is it fair to, is it good to pin, since it's driven largely by pharmaceuticals, is it a good representation of our, overall economic growth?
No. So mostly the economy is healthy. Most sectors are doing fine. So the growth, the bad growth number, is almost entirely due to manufacturing and pharmaceuticals within manufacturing. So overall, the economy is not in bad shape. It's still pretty healthy. So which is maybe one reason why the stock market went up. Even though the government announces a low growth number, the stock market said, okay, no big deal. In any case, this is largely anticipated. People expected that Singapore would slow down.
So how is this actually affecting the average Singaporean, or do you think that they should be doing fine right now, so long as they're not within the manufacturing sector or the pharmaceutical sectors? They should be happy with their.
Well, no, of course, people are going to be hurting from high inflation. Okay, that pinches everybody.
Right.
So I mean, everything you buy is sort of more expensive. Maybe people are eating out. Instead of eating out twice a week, they're eating in a nice restaurant. They may be going once a week.
Right.
Maybe people are driving less. The cost of gas has gone up. So people cut back on their lifestyle. Things like at times like this. Okay. But I don't think there's any great cause for worry about huge job losses or anything like that. There's no evidence of that. In fact, job creation is still going on.
Job creation.
And I think.
Yeah, that's right.
Sanjay might be able to tell us about that.
We are going to find out, are Singaporeans actually worried about, these issues, down to the nitty-gritty, especially maybe in the area of consumer spending? Well, our roving reporter Xian hits the streets and finds out.
How is it affecting you?
I'm going to pay more for everything.
Okay.
The wages are not growing as fast.
经济很不好嘞，没有 customer 来买榴莲嘞，每个讲没有钱。
I think the inflation will just keep on rising, and I don't think it's going to stop anytime soon. Yeah.
新加坡的东西都在起价，只是我们工钱不在起而已咯，所以生活会有点困难啊，那是难免的。
What kind of expenditure are you cutting down?
School, instead of spending $10 a day, I spend about $8 a day or $6 a day. Yeah.
Whatever they can spend on weekends, try to reduce your shopping, and also reduce the taxi.
Try to save, yes. And then maybe the children, go and do some part-time job.
这个方面不用省啦，是买东西看消费该买的就买咯，该省的就省这样。
有什么东西你不买了？
像是穿着啦，还是什么啦，有的可以省就省了这样哦。
I tend to go a lot of wakeboarding or bowling, so now I have to cut down, like going once a month or something like that.
Spend on what you actually really need than what you want, then I think it should be okay.
Is inflation affecting you now?
Not really much. You have to work hard to compensate back. This is the only way.
Maybe I'm not the breadwinner, so don't feel it.
No stress,
Yeah, no stress.
Well, it doesn't really affect me that much because, I'm a student. I work. My parents give me money. It's their problem, not mine.
Maybe take one step at a time. Don't worry too much.
Well, it seems like some people are quite easygoing, taking the whole thing pretty well.
I like the guy who says